Very well, and you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's a bit chilly on campus.
It's much the same this side. Don't worry.
Yeah. Oi. Okay, let's get started, Reggie.
Okay.
Um, Jonathan Ferreira, photographer, creative, actually, and also Instagram filter maker. Would you like to introduce
Sometimes,
yourself?
sometimes. I mean, you've done a great job there. I'm once upon a time from Port Elizabeth, the Bay of Dismay. Um, Spent a lot of time living in Cape Town. Thought I would spend a bit of time living in Joburg. Never got there, and I'm currently living in Dublin, Ireland.
Mm. Sheesh,
Yeah.
that's a that's a grand story to tell. Um, I don't even know where to start because that's quite a life lived while so far, and you still got a lot of years ahead of you.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I read on your bio that you're a road manager for PH Fat.
Once upon a time, when I had just moved to Cape Town, I had a good relationship with the guys from PH Fact when they were still a three piece.
Mm,
Largely through my relationship with we were we were sort of like an events company in Port Elizabeth where
mm,
we couldn't find anybody that was throwing the parties we wanted to throw. Like nobody was hosting the parties we wanted and playing the music we wanted to hear. So my homies and myself took to the task of organizing the parties, throwing the parties, taking the photos, making the
yeah.
videos, making the artwork. So we had like full control over how everything would look, and sort of we tried to curate the experience for everybody that we thought was like-minded and wanted to experience the things we wanted to. And that relationship with PH was always there. And when I moved to Cape Town, the guys asked me if I would step in just
Mm.
to go with them on the road and take photos. And I ended up doing a bit of merch for them and managing their sort of like merch production and merch sales as well. And we took a lot of photos. Like there's so many photos that just never saw the light of day.
Long before Instagram and all of this stuff, eh?
Sort of before Mike decided to like, because if you look at the way that PH Fat's social media presence is now, it's very curated. Everything is like it's very well edited and very well shot. So a
Yeah.
lot of that like BTS stuff doesn't really have a home. But I'm sure when the book one day eventually comes out, I'll slip a couple in.
So how did you actually get into, because I saw you were first doing festivals, clubs, and all of
Yeah.
that stuff. So was it just then when you guys were friends and you decided to do your own thing that you transitioned into other creative things? Or
Um, so I started taking photos because I got retrenched in 2008.
mm,
Company I was working for, I had like signed my documents. I was going to Joburg. You have a job here. And then like 2 weeks in, I phoned and I was like, yo, just want to like double check. I signed a bunch of stuff and didn't hear from anybody.
yeah.
And they were like, oh yeah, no, Mel has been retrenched as well. So and I was like,
Oh,
sick, guys. Oh wait, thanks for the heads up. And bought a camera.
yeah.
And at the time it was in a space where like Cobra Snake was huge overseas and like Kirill was a big deal overseas. And there was nobody doing it in Port Elizabeth. There was no evidence that there was like any kind of youth
Mm,
scene. There was no culture. There was like no document of that kind of stuff.
mm,
And I bought a camera and I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I want to go shoot the stuff that I'm interested in. I want to go and shoot like, I want to shoot the people. I want to shoot the musicians. I want to try and like shoot the culture that exists. And sort of as a natural progression from there, it was like, oh, like I go to Daisies and I go to Ramfest. I want to shoot these things and create like, if not my own experience, just a document of like what happened in that what I saw in that year that I
yeah.
found interesting. And then through my work with Red Bull and with bands and that kind of thing, I ended up going to a lot of these festivals and then sort of ended up as the guy that just shot at the festivals. So I like missed the boat a couple times with Daisies. Like we've got this endless like tug of war trying to like work out when I can shoot it. And I guess my the closest I got to being like the Daisies photographer was in 2015 when I just went by myself. Like I borrowed a
Mm,
camera from a homie, went to the gig and just like I don't even know how I got my festival pass. I just know that I was in the pit. You know what I mean? I was there. And It was actually lawless. Like 2015 Daisies was like there was no rules. I saw photographers having fights in the pits. Like it felt like it every time you looked out at the crowd, it felt like they were going to come over the barrier and they would climb in there. But it was also amazing because that for a lot of us that were involved in the events industry looked at that and we were like, don't ever want that again. Like,
Yeah.
that's not what we want. We don't want like that kind of lawlessness. Like it was fun. Chaos is cool. You know, everybody loves Fight Club until you're in a fight. So it's like, oh shit. Yeah.
Okay. So then how do you maneuver this creative space? Like if I was a young photographer and I'm trying to just not necessarily make a name for myself, but make a living for myself, how does one then like sort of get in there?
So at the moment, I mean, we've never faced something like what we're faced with now, where it's like stay at home, don't hang out with your homies. Like all my normal advice would be like, shit, dude, shoot your friends, like practice on your friends, take photos of your friends, like start there. Now it's like you're not allowed to. It's like, damn. What do I actually do to hone my craft and expand my skills? And that's where personally I took the opportunity to look at like what are other ways that you can have people still come to your Instagram profile without posting a photo or without having to like there are no gigs. None of us have gigs. That's an international problem that we face right now. So I just took the opportunity to learn like how can I create Instagram filters, and they're very basic filters. It's like it's a mobile version of what I would do in Lightroom. So you have that at your fingertips and you can play there. Like there's so much you can do with that. I've been very fortunate to do some work with Hannah for her Girl in the Do-Rag release, which has come out. And that's kind of where I think the space for you to just be a photographer is very limited, and you very quickly find that out when you're not allowed to go outside. Which is also now like I was speaking to one of the homies here in the creative industry, and he was like, you can't just put photographer on your CV, dude. Like that's not good enough anymore. It's not. There's too many of us. There's way too many photographers, and that's like you can't just be that guy. You now have to be I'm actually a creative director and a photographer. And I know how to use Spark AR, and I illustrate, and I know how to edit video, I know how to shoot video. Like you sort of like, and now the problem is we're back in 2011 with everybody going, oh, I'm a content creator.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay. So everybody's a photographer again.
Yeah.
And that's sort of like, okay, my advice to anybody who's starting out is don't worry about your gear. Like, yes, it is nice to have nice gear, but there's like a sliding scale of where your skill is. Like, so your skill should be rising, and where your gear starts getting more expensive and getting better. And those things will meet at some point where you'll be good enough to earn money to buy the things that go up. So as you rise on both axes, you'll have enough money to buy cool stuff and that kind of thing. My advice is focus on creating stuff that people need right now. So if you can make a filter, which you can, literally Spark AR is free. Anybody can download it. Anybody can learn. There are 1,000 YouTube tutorials. Spark AR itself has got so many great tutorials. And then look at ways that you can work that into a visual aesthetic, especially if you want to be a storyteller and a documentarian, because that's my big thing was portraits and documentary photo. It was always trying to like capture the scene, because there wasn't no scene in Port Elizabeth. There just wasn't any proof of a scene.
Yeah.
There's a huge hip hop scene out there. There's a massive dance scene out there, but nobody's taking photos of it. Nobody's creating videos for those kids. Like nobody is doing anything for those guys. And I like, as much as I wanted to like prove a point, like, oh, I can stay in PE and make this work. It's like I needed to pay some bills as well, so I moved to Cape Town. So, yeah, my final advice, if I can put it in one sentence, my advice to anybody that wants to become a photographer or become a creative in some way is diversify from the beginning. from the very beginning, make sure that you're diversifying. So what I mean by that is, if you're a photographer, sell your filters, create Instagram filters. You need to like create zines, create stickers, have something else, so that if we are faced with this situation again, you're like, oh wait, bro, don't worry, I'm still selling magazines. I've still got my sticker sets. Like, don't worry about it. But that's the final word. Diversification is definitely the way forward.
Yeah. Okay. And then once someone's actually proved that they can do all of this stuff, they can create stuff, and a brand can actually put, like, trust in them to do the work.
Yeah.
How does one, is it a thing of you get contacted because someone stumbled across you, or is it a thing of you just gotta send out a whole bunch of portfolios to emails and whatnot?
Man, it's one of those things where all brands love to say that they are the curators of culture. They love that. They fucking love that title. Brands will love to tell you they found this person when they were on the come up. It's a lie. All of it's a lie. Every brand, all of them, they're all lying. They all love to latch on once you're hot shit. So, man, even like, I love Red Bull. I love them to death. What they normally do is they'll wait until you've like, they'll look at you and be like, yeah, he's there. Like, you can see he's on the tipping point. And then once you hit the tipping point, they'll be like, okay, cool, what's up? Let's talk. Because then they know that your motivation is there, your heart's in it, your passion's in it, the drive is there. And that's really what you're trying to prove to people, is that you're not just saying you can do something, you're proving that you can do it, and you're proving that you want to do it. You like, yo, this is what, like, if you look at like Nani, dude. Nani, I worked with Nani when we worked at AVA together. We were editing rando little videos for festivals and stuff. I turned around and Nani was like, yo, check this, dude. Like, I shot this video for this guy in like Nigeria. And I was like, you did what? He was like, yeah, some like rando video, bro. It's just like King Doodoo or something. And I was like, I don't even know. How did you meet this person? He was like, no, the dude just got hold of me. He liked the video. And then I turned around again and Nani was working with Nasty. And I was like, Nani, we worked together at like a tiny desk, dude. What the fuck? And he's like, yeah, man, I'm Nasty's video guy. I live with Nasty, basically. And I was like, shit.
Quick.
And it's that kind of like, it's that like passion. You know what I mean? He proved that he was like the guy for that. And Nasty could see it and identify it, and Colin could see it, and they were like, yo, you're in, you're coming with us. We're all going straight up, Zulu man with power.
Yeah.
So for me, the big thing is don't ever do yourself out of an opportunity by thinking that you shouldn't send out your portfolio. Make sure your portfolio always looks good. Even if you're filming, like, dude, I just put up some stuff about like some tattoo stuff that we shot, like a year ago. And I realized, like, when I was putting it up, I was like, nobody's seen this. Like, literally nobody that follows me knows that I shot this, because I didn't put it out. So that's why I was like, oh man, let me take this opportunity to just put this stuff out and write some stuff about how I feel about tattoos. Just make sure that your portfolio is always up to date and looking clean and looking good, and send it to people. Dude, always send it to people. Like, find someone to email and just be like, hey, listen, like, here's some of my work. Maybe we can do something together. Like, lockdown restrictions have eased a little bit. I'd love to shoot a portrait with you. Like, give me like 15 minutes of your time. It's hit and miss, dude. I must have sent out like 100 of those fucking emails last year. And I got like 20 portraits out of it. But that being said, I've got Nasty, I've got Tellerman, I've got Youngster, I got Moonchild. I got like a bunch of really cool faces and very identifiable faces who, admittedly, that was also like chance. You know what I mean? Like, I was in a space, they were in a space, they knew me, they're comfortable with me. So for me to go, let's just step this very quickly, just come here, Studio B's vocal booth, let's just take a photo, quick sticks. That for me was easy, but that also stems from just send the mails, dude. I've had people reply to my mails being like, yeah, I'd love to shoot a portrait. Like, when's good for you? And I'm like, Thursday. And they're like, yeah, Thursday, I'll be there, bro. And then radio silence. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Like, sick one, dude. You ghosted me like I get it. Oh, wait, it's cool. Don't get disheartened by that. Like, don't. If you really want it, don't get disheartened by it. Like if Thursday comes and they ghost you and shit, be like, yo, listen, man, like I know things get out of hand sometime. Let's reschedule if you have a chance. But also don't sort of like just focus on one person. You know what I mean? Like don't like, let's argument's sake, youngster, don't just like be like, all I want is this picture of youngster. There's a lot of pictures of youngster at the moment, dude. Like there are tons. Fucking just mail a bunch of people, take a bunch of photos, prove to people that you can do something with your skill set. You know what I mean? Like with your tools. So like you look at like one-legged beggar, dude, that guy, he was like doing IT or some shit, bro. And then we went and shot some like random dance stuff out in the city, and he was like, oh yeah, man, like I don't know what I'm doing, but like I have a camera. Like I take photos for fun. And I was like, Mike, what do you mean you take photos? He was like, yeah, I just want to take a photo, man. And I was like, cool, let's look at what you've done. And then again, turned around and he shot some like incredible stuff, dude. Like the stuff the newest stuff that he shot for Danny is like nuts. That red dress stuff is cuckoos, bro. Like that's like timeless photo covers, like album covers that he's now shot. And I think the thing is important that you need to be tireless in your chase. You know what I mean? It's you never like stop. So when you hit the point where people are like, you're good, that it doesn't end there. You don't like get to sit down and take a break and then be good forever, or else you'll just be, oh yeah, that guy used to take good photos. Like what the fuck ever happened to him? Nobody looks at Cedric and goes, oh yeah, he took some good photos 4 years ago. No, dog. Like every day, that guy's Twitter it's just my timeline all the time is just like on fire when he puts stuff out.
Yeah.
And it's because he's like tireless in that chase. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And that's a thing. I think the best thing you can do, never stop creating, but also never stop trying things out to be better. Because that way, when you send someone a mail and you go, yeah, this, you've got something new in there. You've got something that somebody else maybe hasn't done. You know what I mean?
And
I think that's important. Like, yeah.
I was saying it's also that thing of like, if what not, why not? Because like if you can do it, then just do it and see what happens. You never know.
The worst thing that somebody can say to you is no.
Yeah.
Bro,
you're not going to die from a
no. Yeah. Then that's not going to kill you. If anything, it's going to be like, sick, cool, I'm sending another mail now. Cool, thanks. like free motivation, shot.
Yeah. And then I wanted to also ask, like, how do people take to mobile photography? Because obviously with the way phones are growing in technology, like I could pick up my iPhone and take decent photos for the gram portfolio.
Dude, like in the beginning when Instagram came out, and then it was like iPhone only, when it was like before Facebook owned Instagram, when it was still like, oh, this is on iOS only. I used to be like sarcastic about it. I was like, yeah, cool, you got an iPhone, now you're gonna come here, fucking take photos of each other, whatever. But the more I look at it, like if you look now, dude, everybody with an OnlyFans is shooting on their phone. And that's not a diss. That's what, like, we have come so far with technology, dude. We literally have come so far. You have a whole production studio in your mobile device. What? So that's, for me, it's like, it depends on what you use it for. Like if I sometimes say to people, like, why do you need a D850? Like, why do you need a 5D Mark IV?
Yeah.
You're taking photos for Instagram. Why do you need it? Like, why do you need the biggest file with the highest res? You don't. You just want it because it's new. And that's the big thing, is like a lot of it comes down to, it's like purpose. Like, what are you shooting for? If you're an Instagram photographer, dude, that no shade, my man. When I was in Russia, there's kids out there that's what they do. There's a whole fucking market for kids taking photos of people for their Instagram. And I was like, yo, my guy, like, I could, South Africa, maybe we must go and have a little chat here when I get home, bro. Like, legit, you would like walk through the park and there'd be someone that's just sort of like,
just the young
just like this. And then you see some dude with a camera like trying to like frame the shit up, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And then I realized that they're all taking, like, it's all people that are like, I want my Instagram to look nice.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole like market sector of these photographers that are like, yo, I'm here to make you look nice for your Instagram. Like, go away. But that's again, those dudes are shooting on cameras instead of camera phones. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with using a camera phone, because at the end of the day, your lighting is more important than your camera is, really. Like, you can have a great camera, shitty lighting, and then you have a bad photo, and you can have a really cheap camera with great lighting and then it looks good. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think don't overlook, especially if you want to, like, if you're looking at creating behind the scenes and process footage, if you want to vlog, dude, having a phone is the easiest way to vlog on the planet. Like that, you do not, like, imagine walking around town with this, walking around town with a whole thing. You know what I mean?
And a little,
like this shit that where you hold it out here and you're like, hey guys, what's up? He's just asking for somebody to come past and like cherry pick that nonsense, bro. Like that, you're like, you're giving it away when it's out there. Like, keep the phone with you. And I think it's I think phones have become almost indelible to the process of creation. So you definitely need some kind of mobile device if you're uploading all the time, and if you're doing that live, and if you're at a gig and you need to be tweeting, and social media managers and stuff like that will tell you like that thing needs 2-3 power banks for the night to keep it going. And I think that I don't think you need to buy, like, I don't think you need an iPhone 12. You know what I mean? Like,
I've got an iPhone 7 and I can do 4K.
Dude, I used to use my 6 for the longest time. I stopped using it because Uber drove over it, and then the camera started shaking. That was the only reason I was like, screw this thing. Now I'm gonna throw it away. Fuck. So I did myself dirty there. But yeah, I think phones are a great, especially if you're looking at like the way that we travel in South Africa and the way that we commute. Having a phone versus having a whole camera out, especially if you're on a bus or in a taxi or something like that, the easiest way to frame stuff and to practice that, like, I want to get my eye, I just want to see what this would look like. Just have your phone with you, dude. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's the camera that comes in the phone software, you don't need to have like VSCO or anything like that. Just you're practicing that stuff all the time. Like, where's a good angle? Like, what looks good? The most important one to me is, how do I look good on camera? Like, when I take photos of my wife, she'll first like square up and be like, okay, you need to shoot from like there, stay there.
That's
and then I'll just like, and then I'll go set it up, because I know she's happy with that. And that's why normally when I square up with somebody for a portrait, I say to them like, what side do you shoot from when you take a photo of yourself?
Okay.
And even if it's like, dude, it could be like one of the Springboks, they'll be like, this side. They know. Immediately, they know. Even if a dude wants to play coy and he's like, I don't take photos of myself. He's like, this side. They'll know exactly. They know. Boys know even. And I think that's important. Like, I think a lot of people sort of come to that, they get very like jajarach about, you're always on your phone, you're always taking photos, what. And this whole like concept of people shaming you for selfies. Dog, people want to be like, it's a selfie, but then they want to be like, look at this dude that took a self-portrait. And I'm like, guys, it's the first 4 letters of the word. Both words, same thing, same fucking thing. And yeah, you're making fun of somebody for the one. Like, I get it if you're taking a bad selfie, maybe just help a friend out. You know what I mean? Like, take him aside and be like,
be like, hey,
don't shoot down your head. Don't. This angle is very bad. Let's get it up here, 45. So I think it's important. I think it's a really cool tool to have for your work. And I think it's a great way that you can like practice and develop your eye even more to keep yourself in that zone all the time. And especially if you're creating all the time, it's also a way that you can like document your process and like create small clips. Nani does that very effortlessly, dude. He's like, but with Nani, he's always got an unboxing. He's always opening a pair of shoes or like a new camera or something. You know what I mean? For us, it can be like opening a box of chicken licken or like a McDonald's burger. I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Man's got to eat.
Oh damn. Okay. I actually do the phone thing, but I turn my iPhone upside down and then it gets me that better depth of field thing.
Man.
Gotta stay woke.
The big one for me is if you're shooting stuff in the street.
Yeah.
Because dudes always like, oh, I got to get really low, and then they do this, and then I'm like, nah, you do that, so that your lens is on the street completely. Yeah. And it's that's the stuff that, like, if you translate that into camera, like holding a camera, you'll be like, how can I get my lens nice and like super low? You know what I mean? Like that's the angle I want. Then you've already got it in your head because you're like, oh, I did this with my phone. I know what I'm doing. I get it. Yeah.
So now, how do you just, because things can get crazy, right? Imagine you get like 50 messages in your mailbox and you got to do this gig and that gig. Like, do you have a team, or is it just you, like one man, like whizzing through all of this like a genius?
For the longest time, it used to be one dude. Just like up until like 2015, it was photo, video, edit photo, edit video. And then in like 2015, I was like, nah, guys, you're asking me for like a 3-minute after movie and you want like 100 photos. I want to take photos. I don't want to shoot video. Like, I've got too many homies that are really good at video. If you rather get the homie that does the good video to come work with me, and then we can take it from there. And for the most part, like I can handle a festival now. Like if I have to run and take photos at a festival, sorted. It gets quite hectic. It really does, and you have to have very good time management.
Yeah.
And Red Bull sent me out there by myself plenty of times. They've been like, "Yo, we want you to go shoot daisies. There's 4 stages. There's like an act on each stage. Work it out. Like these are the acts we want photos of. Work it out. How are you going to do it?" And that's cool because that's that Red Bull culture. You know what I mean? That's it. Like, I've got energy. I've got wings. I'm alive. Wow.
Yeah.
That's what that is about. And I feel like it's good, but you also need to know yourself. You need to know when you're pushing yourself into a space that you can't handle. So I was very fortunate. Like the comms manager that managed the photographers she would sit me down after a thing and be like, "Yo, what was your experience with this particular gig?"
Yeah.
And then I would just be straight with that. I'd be like, "Yo, like it was cool, but in the past, like 2 of us have burnt out. Like 2 dudes just, there was too much for them, and they were like, for like 2 weeks, they were just done." You never want to get to that point because you're not only doing yourself a professional disservice by being out of the game, but you're putting your health at risk. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to, like, the last thing you want to do is like hurt your back or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, make sure that you're safe, make sure that you're healthy. And that doesn't mean that you can't have fun. You can always have fun and be safe. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to like throw bottles in the air to have fun. You can chill out.
It's a good moderate balance.
Yeah.
It's all about work and play.
That's it. It's just your work ethic, man. Like, you'll work it out as you go. But if you look at something like, okay, so daisies I've shot by myself. 3-4 days, mellow, I can do it. But if you look at something like Red Bull Music Festival in Johannesburg, that was massive because that was like 6 venues across Braam. It was like Fox Junction, and then we were at Orbital, and then we were in the clubs downstairs and stuff. And that's when you look at that's a bigger team. There's like 4 Red Bull photographers, and then there'll be like a production company that brings in a couple videographers and maybe like 2 extra photographers and stuff like that. And that's just because there's so many moving parts in terms of assets that you want to generate from it, that it would put too much pressure on one team. So you would have, and this is what I've seen professionally, is that there's been this evolution of like, you have a video team, so people that just do video, and you have a camera or photo team that just does photo, and that's what they focus on. Because at the end of the day, if you're doing both, if you're doing photo and video, you have to consciously make a decision in a moment and go, am I going to take a photo of this, or am I going to film this? Like, is this a photo moment, or is this a video moment? Like, which one am I going for here? Because it's not always possible to get a really nice looking frame out of a video when it's really low light. where you could be using a flash, and you can't always use a flash when you're filming because it's not just, it doesn't work. Like your flash doesn't work when you're filming.
Yeah.
So modern, like it just depends on the sort of like intricacy of the event. You know what I mean? So like when we shot Skepta, it was like 2 people in the pit at once. That was it. Like for the first 5 songs or something, there were only like, I think it was like 2 or 4 people, but there were like 16 dudes who wanted to take photos.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, 1 song, 4 of you, and then 1 song, 4 of you, and then 1 song, 4 of you. And then they were like, everybody out of the pit. Like now we're all going to leave. And then thankfully, because we were shooting for Red Bull, it was like, okay, you guys are allowed to stay. There's like 3 of you or 4 of you, you're allowed to stay. So it was like Mpumelelo, myself, Wayne, and Ty. And then like Mpumelelo was there next to me with like a Fuji taking photos and stuff. Wayne was in the crowd. He was like, he watched somebody like drink out of their shoe, and like some kid like dislocated his knee while he was in the. I was like, Wayne, I took photos of that crowd. Like I know what that crowd looked like. How did you get out? He's like,
Yeah.
they were like chill. They were pretty, and we've been very fortunate in that, like when we end up in the crowd as photographers, a lot of times people are like, oh, okay. Like there's this consciousness where people are like, it's camera, like
Okay.
he's not part of the mosh pit. He's yeah, but he's not
He's not
in for the knocks. So super fortunate.
I can imagine
about
also
that.
people don't want to break anything and be like, hey, how about that?
You know what? It's. I feel like it's never really like a malicious, intentional thing. Like
Yeah.
dudes won't really like. You just can't help it. If somebody bumps you and you like fly into me, it's like, okay, cool. Like
Yeah.
you know, it's not a mosh pit if nobody's getting hurt. It's like
That's
what?
Okay. No, that's good to hear. And then
Yeah.
actually, my last question I wanted to ask was for like, because it is the Hip Hop Society, and we have a
Yeah.
whole bunch of artists, and it wouldn't do justice if I didn't ask them how do they get into like Red Bull Studios? Like, what does it take for one to, be able to book a session and like get their
to get in
sound
there
ready?
and record something.
Yeah.
So Red Bull Studios actually has a very simple application process, which can be accessed from the website. I think it's still redbullstudios.co.za.
Yeah.
But if you go to redbull.com, you'll be able to search the Cape Town studio from there. Just make sure that you're on a Red Bull website and not like some fake ass
Thing.
bullshit redbullstudios.weebly.com or .wix or something like that, because that's not real.
Yeah.
And then literally what they'll do is in the submission process, you'll submit a demo or some kind of recording of what you do.
Yeah.
So make sure that you have a SoundCloud, at least a SoundCloud, because that's free. You can have a SoundCloud account without having to pay for that. Thankfully, they haven't like switched to some weird ass pay to play model nonsense. And that's really where it starts. The more stuff you can submit, the better. So if you have something like, if you look at like the way Langa started, dude. Langa started in UCT with Noli. Noli was filming the bedroom sessions where she had like Langa and a bunch of people just recording in their bedrooms, in the dorms at UCT. That links back to your first question. How do you progress as an artist?
Yeah.
Dude, shoot your friends. Honestly, shoot your friends. When I was in the studios, there were a bunch of dudes that came to me and they were like, yo, man, we're part of this like thing from Manenberg. And I was like, what thing? Like, what thing are you talking about? Dude, they showed me a video. It was like in some dude's garage. Literally in like some dude's car garage.
Yeah.
But they'd put up lights and they made it like red and blue and green and all these different colors. And they held a cipher, dude. They had a cipher in a garage and made it look like
it was something
Atlanta.
else.
It was nuts. I was like, why are you guys coming here when you've done the work yourself? Like you guys are doing the thing. And that for me is the big thing. Like don't look at those opportunities as the make or break, because it's more about using that opportunity to carry you. So Red Bull Studios is an amazing place to go and record music and go and record tracks. And that's great, but that's not a recording contract, and that's not a manager, and that's not a PR agent. that track that you record there and that you can have mastered there is a great thing to have to then go, hey, remember my portfolio that we were talking about? Hey, now we've got a polished track. We've got a 2-track EP. It's up on our SoundCloud. On to the next one. Put yourself up for Indaba. Put yourself up for whatever comes next. You know what I mean? So to answer your question directly, Red Bull Studios application process is online, super simple to apply for. You literally just submit your links, and I think it's like a bio, like a 1-page. So you don't have to, like, if you won a bunch of awards, maybe just have a photo of them on the shelf, but just like a short thing about yourself. And my advice is own the space you're in, dude. I really think that, like, the hip hop community, for me, the problem with everybody is that the mindset is always, I'm an up and comer, I'm an amateur. Then do something to get yourself out of that bracket. Don't let everybody be the up and comer and the amateur. Get yourself out of that bracket. Make yourself, yo, I'm a slam poet, I'm a rapper, I'm a wordsmith, I rhyme hard. Like, get there. Get to that point. But yeah, I mean, the process is super easy. You can even, if you have a demo CD, if you have your stuff burnt to disk, you can literally go to Red Bull Studios and drop it off. You just go there and you speak to Tabo, bro. Yeah, you can just go to Tabo and be like, hey, here's my demo.
Okay.
He'll still tell you to go and apply on the website, but you can drop it off if you want.
I don't know if UCT has brought me comfort, but I was about to ask, do they still even burn CDs these days?
I don't even know if I don't know if his MacBook has got a space for a CD, but I know they've got CDJs, so they can at least play the disc on CDJs. Where you're gonna burn it is not, my bro. I don't have answers for you. I'm sorry.
No idea. Actually, it's crazy because the way that technology, I mean, we're now on 5G, and I'm just thinking to myself, the way that technology has grown in the conversation we're talking about, you literally have everything at your disposal to, like, create if you want to. We talk about making music. Some people, I don't know if it's called Pro Tools or whatever, but some people can record on their phone and then they just master Pro Tools and suddenly it's clean as hell. So
Pro Tools, dude, there's a whole culture of kids writing stuff on GarageBand.
Serious?
Which is like, it's the free app on iOS. It's like, hey, here's a drum, and you're like, doof, doof. Yeah, dudes are making albums. I'm like, okay.
So it's really just about getting out there and doing it.
It's the motivation. It's that drive, dude. You can be like, man, my biggest one is always, people are like, oh yeah, but you know, when you look at lag, I'm like, guys, lag started with Fruity Loops. We've all fucked with Fruity Loops, man. Everybody, even me, I've played with Fruity Loops. I know it's easy. You just it's that click, 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 pattern. I like this pattern, play it back. No, that sounds like trash. Take those out. You just have to, and it's also, you find the thing that works for you. If Pro Tools works for you and you love that whole, like, desk vibe setup with all the things moving all the time, cool, Pro Tools is the one. Ableton might be the thing for you as well, you know what I mean? But Ableton is more performance than production. Where, like, Fruity Loops or Cubase or something like that, those are the ones that I messed with when I was younger, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna make an EP. I'm gonna fuck with this dubstep thing, see how that goes.
Okay, I'm a very visual person, so like I tried. I got the Fruity Loops. I even got I think it was a crack of Ableton, or no, it was someone who had a thing, and then I just took their details when they weren't looking. But like,
I'm just borrowing this thing.
once I got to the interface, I was like, yo, okay, yeah, nah, last.
But like, every interface is like that, you know what I mean? Like, the first time you open Premiere Pro or Photoshop, dude, you're like,
but that's the thing, for Photoshop, it's like, it's one line, and then there's like, you got your box where you work, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna skip. But that thing was like, everything was just like, yo.
Yeah, when there's like 8 tracks and then there's 2 lines, and then
So I think that'll I'll get there one day. But like, that's the nice thing about the creative industry. You can pick up and go, pick up and go. You
Yeah.
don't have to be in a box.
You can learn, dude. That's the big thing for me. Is like if you're hungry, you will learn. You'll find a way to learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like if you go download Spark AR now and look at it, you're gonna be like,
yeah,
nah, I don't know. I got no idea. I don't know what the fuck is going on here.
yeah.
But if you like, I want to know how this works because I want to make a filter, then it suddenly becomes quite easy, and you're like, oh man, there's a lot of blocks on the page. That's all it is, and they just put all the stuff. It's all modular and like.
Is it something like
I got
Photoshop
this.
though, or is it like completely different?
No, it's kind of like Photoshop, but it's not as like Photoshop is very input driven. So you have an image and then you manipulate those pixels.
Yeah.
Where with Spark, you have the image and then you have your file, and then you're like, I need this file to do that on that image. So you need to between your file and your image, you need to have a patch that tells it like, I want it to fade in and out, I want it to flash, I want it to like move maybe, or I want to like map it to this person's face, just their face, and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Isn't that like what's that Adobe Spark?
It's kind of this. It's almost the same kind of thing. Like Adobe's got their own version. Like Snapchat's got their own one. Adobe's got their own one. I think TikTok's got their own one, and then Facebook has Spark. And Facebook was like, "Yo, it's free. Like, have fun, go wild, whatever." There's a bunch of documentation. Yeah. So, and I think they all just, like each platform wants to like own a piece of the like process. So they won't all go like, "Yo, just use Spark." They'll be like, "No. You need to use this one that looks different, but does the same thing at the end of the day. Like it's all Photoshop at the end of the day. Like, Chill Out does." Yeah.
Okay. And then how do young up and comers approach brands? If like, I know we touched on it earlier, but like more in terms of, do you choose something that's aligned with something you're interested in, and do you first start out by saying, no, let me just try this one thing and then prove myself? Or is it a thing of like, you can say, rent this camera, this is the concept, we'd like to do this. Let's take Levi, for instance. Would like to do an ad and then promote the clothing and do like a runway in a room.
Well, I mean, you can look at what's this Better app that just came out now. That's got D in it, D Koala. D also like. She came from like.
What app is that?
Like, so there's this. It's this new money app, and I think that it's actually from Samsung. I think it's like a Samsung app or something like that. But it's got to do with managing your finances and and like having your payment options on your phone and that kind of thing. But D is part of that. And if you look at it, she also like university student not long ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like hit that stride. Then the next thing, Addy was there, and then boom. Hey guys, here's an app for money and whatnot. The big thing is always that you need to sort of like find a way to leverage yourself, like find a way that the way brand partnerships work is as much as we want to think we're getting something out of it, it's actually that whatever brand you're partnering with is getting more out of it. So everybody's watched Social Dilemma by now. I'm pretty sure you are the product. That was the fucking message the whole time. You are the product. Wow.
But you know
what we were told was a bunch of dudes who owned products were telling us we are the product.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. I get it. You just need to find a way to leverage your relationship with them. You know what I mean? Most brands want they want to know that they can get into the culture or get into a market through their relationship with you.
Okay.
Renting cameras, bro, that's like one of the easiest ways to flex when you want to learn how to film stuff.
Yeah.
If you're like, yo, which camera should I buy? Go rent it.
Yeah.
You want to buy a Sony? Go rent a Sony Quick Sticks, bro.
Yeah.
You want to rent a 5D Mark IV? Like that for me, it was like 2015. I broke my camera. I went to Grietfest and a laser burnt my sensor, and I spent a month without my camera. But in that month, I got to play with Canon cameras. I got to play with Sony cameras because anything I was renting, I was like, sick, maybe I want to change. Like maybe I want to switch to a new brand to try and work it out.
Yeah.
And then I didn't in the end. I just stayed with Nikon, and I was like, I'm happy with Nikon. Screw this. I don't need all these other cameras.
Do you feel like that's because you started off it, or is it just because that's the one that best worked for you?
Man, for me, it was a sort of a happy accident. So I originally started with Sony. I had like a Sony A200. I don't think you can even Google that anymore. It's so old. And then I asked the homie, I was like, yo, should I buy a 5D or should I buy a Nikon? And the homie was like, nah, get the Nikon. It's honestly like it's the better camera. Da, da, da. And then like it took me a while to work out that I had asked a Nikon ambassador if I should buy a Nikon. So I was like, did I just? But that being said, when I moved to Cape Town later, all my homies that shot, we all used Nikon. So it was very fortuitous. Like if it was like I need to switch lenses quickly, they'd be like, yeah, here's the lens. Because inevitably one of us is carrying a lens on us somewhere, and we can switch out very, very quickly. Which also meant like battery chargers and stuff like that. I'm always strapped. Like I've got my stuff in my bag always. Yeah. But if the situation ever arose, I knew, oh wait, Ty's here with me, Pumulelo's here with me, Wayne's here, whatever, like we can switch up. And I struggle sometimes when people are like, yo, this one's better than that one. I'm like, not really, dude. Not really. It comes down to how you edit the photo.
Yeah.
Your editing style is what's going to influence how your photos look. It's going to influence how your videos look and your aesthetic. And that is often what draws people in to your work. It's how the stuff looks more so than what you're using.
By having like your specific style. Because I tried, I did also just happen to get into photography in my first, second, and third year. Yeah. And I was shooting Canon because that's the first camera I picked up.
Yeah.
And I just got used to it. And then I thought I was like just taking like cool party photos or whatever, because those house parties were throwing together on birthdays. And then I was like, oh, whatever. And then someone told me the other day, because obviously I've never like picked up a book and checked what photography is. And they're like, oh no, you're a good candid photographer. And I was like, I thought I was doing portraits, but okay, candid photography, that's the wave.
so there's a name. There is a name for it. Yeah.
But that happens with me all the time. Like even the iPhone trick, that was just a happy accident. And then I found out it's actually a thing. Like there's ways you can just shoot from. And then I'm getting into like all this lighting and I'm like, you can actually do that? Like I used to stress about so many things and try and hack away and make a plan somehow. But now I realize, okay, there's actual ways that people are like,
that's it, dude.
This is the one.
And the thing is as well, if you look at it like it's not all about like editing a photo. You don't need to like think of like, oh my god, I need to like know Photoshop so that I can, like if you look at Clive, Stilo's little brother, when he does that stuff with like the big foot or like the big head and stuff like that, that to me I was like, man, he's hit something here that nobody else was doing. Nobody was doing it. And he's now like, boom, running with it. He's leading that pack because nobody else is still doing it.
Yeah.
But that is like a very extreme example of like his style stands out. Because if you look at his stuff before he started doing that, it was all like, was very dark, very contrasted, 1-2 colors. Like if he had orange in his sneakers, then there would be orange in the flowers and stuff around him. And his shirt would be orange. Everything else would be black and white. And he would just like, it was compelling and striking to look at his work all the time. And then he got a grill, and then it was like, fuck, now it's just compelling to look at you. Now it's cool. All right, cool.
But I hear you. Okay, I hear you.
Yeah.
I think that's about all I wanted to ask. It's actually, I feel like there's a lot more I could have tapped into, but I'm sure we can have you on again at a later stage.
More than happy to sit down again for a second chat. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Have a good time, and thank you for the interview.
You too. Have a good weekend. Thank you so much.